Crypto Insider, your source of news. Everything about cryptocurrencies and blockchain. The one and only honest news channel.
Hello and welcome to this special episode of Satoshi Insider Report. Not really special, we talk about the news, but first and primarily we talk about the price. What happens to the price on the market? You have seen the price was crashing from 10.5, 10.2, 9.7 up 10.2, 10.5 again, down backwards to 9.6, 9.5 and today until 8.6. And many people are afraid, and a lot of people talking about the bearish market. They talk about coronavirus. And so let's talk about the price and the news. So let's talk about what happened. Okay, first I will explain why not coronavirus is responsible for this price crash. If you have seen the market and the stock markets are plumbing and a lot of things are going on there because the coronavirus is more hype and fear than in real. So for example, I will give you a good example. Only in Germany 20,000 people have been infected with influenza and will die on the normal influenza virus. Okay, so this is what happens every year. So this is normal. So because 20,000 people starve about the influenza virus, no one is crying and no company is closing and no company stops its services. What happens to the coronavirus is one thing. We do not exactly know what happens to the coronavirus, why it is there, but it seems that this is a chemical, maybe try to build a chemical bomb or something like that, what people think, and it was breaking out of the labor. But now, today, if you see, we have a lot of people infected and we have a lot of people in quarantine, for example, and we see that a lot of people spread around the world with the new kind of virus. But as H1N1, for example, H1N1 virus in the past, we have seen likely that not the economy was aching that much. So we have 7 billion people on this planet, and 3 billion people will be responsible to work and get the money fluctuation and the money creation under the process and keeping the economy up. Okay, so this is what happens in the world actually. But on the other hand, it is like that. If you have from 3 billion people, say only 0.001% infected, does this change the industry itself? Is the money circulation that infected because of this? A lot of companies say the coronavirus is responsible for everything. A lot of companies says we can't do business in the UK anymore because of the Brexit. And always is only one, it's an excusement. It's an excusement, therefore, that they do not want to tell you the truth. The crisis of the economy has just begun. And this is exactly what we see now. Stock markets are going up and down, and we see that printing money is keeping the stock markets up at the moment, but the inflation is going up. And you can see it on the economy news and the economy numbers we can see in the internet. You can recheck what I said. You see that inflation worldwide is going up. And this is the main reason why we have problems and struggle now. And no one is coming out with the truth and says we failed in our money system. So they have the virus, for example, to distract you from the real problem. So this is another thing. That's the reason we are struggling. And it will come very hard because I was predicting the crisis in 2020, 2021. Okay, this is what I said, and I believe in that because a lot of economy specialists and professors are the same. I was talking to a lot of people in money business and economy, from banks until the normal financial system support us. Okay, So I've spoken to a lot of people around the world, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm traveling around and I'm speaking with people about all the problems. I have calls with people which are based in Hong Kong, Singapore, all over the world, and the financial places and everything. So I have a very, very good view about what happens at the moment. And the markets are in, I would say, in a hurry. They can't tell you the truth. They should give you a credit line, even if they know that it is not any more affordable, because we will see inflation and we will see things coming up. So they hide behind the truth, behind something called Corona at the moment. That's the truth. And Corona is not the impact on Bitcoin or whatever, because business, for example, the Nasdaq is a totally electronical way to keep our money in stock markets and driving the markets up and down without having any people on a pocket trading or on a ground trading, for example, floor trading, whatever you say for that. So this is exactly what it is. And the tradings and the stocks are only driven by psychology. And this is exceptional important for you to understand how news are working. And this is why I'm doing this news here with you, to discuss the news out there, because they have a psychology impact to investors. So for example, you are not clear in yourself. Yeah, maybe I buy some Bitcoins, maybe I do not want to buy some Bitcoins. I'm afraid about cryptocurrencies. So then you get a decision to buy, and then you see that someone is saying the Corona is taking down Bitcoin. So you will say, oh my God, oh, why? And you do not understand, so you likely wouldn't invest. And investors at these times are very, very, very concerned about the risk. And this is another topic we have to talk. Concerned about risk and volatility is something many traders accept. But the normal people, the small investors, they believe in a value which come to steadily growing, and they want to have revenues because they know that from the stock market. But the stock market is controlled and the crypto market is not controlled, and that's the difference in here. So you can likely see what happens, that the fear movement at the moment is very high. Another thing is, and let's talk about Warren Buffett, for example. Warren Buffett is an influencer. He is one of the most important people in the asset world, in the stock market world. They think he's the god of business. Okay, so what is it about Berkshire Hathaway? You know this Kirby's. Yeah, he started with that, and then they have also now real estate and everything under their hood, and he grows to his Berkshire Hathaway fund is one of the largest in the world. Okay, so, and everyone will see what he's doing, because everything he was saying turned into money and gold some days for the people believing in him. Okay, he has done his mistakes when he was talking about the internet, for example. Yeah, he was joking like he was joking about Bitcoin today. So, but another thing which leads into this crash is one thing: Justin Sun. Justin Sun is the founder of Tron. Tron is a token which is based on the BitTorrent network. It's something like Napster, is the follow-up from Napster. You remember the times when you can share music, so on BitTorrent you can share everything, and this is a decentralized system you can't take down. On top of the system, he was running the Tron token, and the founder of the BitTorrent network was saying it is impossible to run a token which is secured on that, but this doesn't stop Justin Sun from doing that. Then he announced that he will pay $4 million to meet Warren Buffett in person for dinner. $4 million. Okay? The first meeting was cancelled because many people were saying Justin Sun can't leave China. So the reason, what really was, we do not know at the moment. But then it was delayed, and many people say this was a fake news. But suddenly he appeared again, and a couple of days ago he met Warren Buffett and he made an announcement. So Bobby Lee was with him and some other guys from crypto space. And then he makes an announcement and was saying, I sent Warren Buffett his first Bitcoin. And everyone was very proud about that, because this is a good promotion, you know. And this is keeping up the markets, because they believe in hope and infrastructure and everything. So what happens, unfortunately, is, and this is a really thing what I must confess where he is right. He was saying, I don't have any Bitcoin, I don't own any cryptocurrencies, I never will. You can't do anything with it except sell it to somebody else. So he was saying this week on the CNBC. And this is exactly what happens. Over the course of the 2-minute segment, the billionaire investor tore into Bitcoin's value proposition and obliquely threw shade on 4.6 million lunch guest Justin Sun. So see, this is an impact to the markets who believe in all that shit happens. This is psychology. This is a psychology war, okay? And he says, and that's exactly what it is, because he doesn't understand it. The problem on that is that he says that nothing really, and this is what he says to cryptocurrencies and all, and Bitcoin doesn't serve the financial markets. And yes, he is right. And I will tell you why. Bitcoin hasn't been built to serve the financial markets and stabilize them in a crisis. Bitcoin was not built as an asset as we see today. Bitcoin was exactly built to leave the fiat world. And that's the only value of Bitcoin. And if you talk about the store of value, yeah, that's the store of value. If you talk about fungibility, that's the fungibility. Leaving the market and leaving the fiat world as we know it. And this is the big mistake. Everyone now uses it. I will give you a good example. For example, Caitlin Long, I think Long, she is Caitlin in the US, she is in the government. She was announcing that she is allowing in her district to open up a crypto asset bank. And everyone was saying, wow, and the whole crypto space and the fintech world was claiming, raising their hands and clap their hands for her. So what I have seen and what I have said is, this is only, and at the end of the day, nothing. Why? Because they told us we should leave the banks and created the fintech, but the fintechs are banks. What happens is that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies used as assets today. This is nothing else than you move gold, silver. What happens is, like PayPal, like Visa or MasterCard, in the end of the day, they will charge your bank account. And what you do now is you use a huge, expensive infrastructure to move your fiat money over new systems which cut out some interest fees. And in the end of the day, someone has fiat in his account. And the price of this is dictated by banks because of ask and demand of the system. But you move and shift fiat to fiat. If you use a debit card on Bitcoins, where is the money in the end of the day? It's in fiat on an account. Because I exchange my Bitcoins into fiat and pay with the fiat the merchant. So you will likely say he has paid with Bitcoins, but the real is he has exchanged the currency into fiat, a non-fiat currency into fiat, and paid with that. That's nothing different. At the end of the day, you move money from A to B with a very high, expensive infrastructure. And that's exactly what you do. Now people say, okay, we have distributed ledger technology, but at the time that we have tokens and everything in there, the distributed ledger technology is necessary and will change the way we use data, but that doesn't change the way how we use money. And this is exactly what it is. The disappointment about is that we have to confess that Bitcoin is not meant to be an asset moving for fiat. And if you want to move money really fast, you can see it on the N26 bank, for example. You can do money beam. So if someone is in the N26 and you too, you can send via money beam your money instantly without having any problems. You got the money on your end of the world. So Bitcoin was not meant to be the fastest system on earth. It was meant to be a system which hasn't got any third parties in there. And we are not willing to do that because the government is talking to the banks. The banks are talking to the central banks, and the central banks make pressure on the government because they will lose $1 trillion business. If everyone is using Bitcoin instead of fiat money, so the private sector is going away from the banks, you will see there's likely a problem. And everyone knows about it. If the Bitcoin price comes to 100,000, 200,000, how will you exchange all these amount into fiat without increasing the inflation? And that's exactly why they want to bind you, why they tell you about coronavirus and everything, why they lead into a situation that they talk away the crisis, because they do not want you to go into Bitcoin and use it as it was meant for. So they give you some offers. They say, okay, with future contracts, and here's the next reason why Bitcoin's plumbed. The futures have been seen a longing after the Bitcoin halving, because everyone knows after the Bitcoin halving, the inflation is going back from 4% to 1%, and the price will double. So this is deflationary process, okay? So the price of Bitcoin will double. But no one really wants not to jump on the board. So what we have seen on the future markets, a lot of shorts have been positioned now on a deeper price, and we have seen a lot of buying of Bitcoins to dump the market again. And this is exactly what I said before. It is impossible to make forecasts how the price is going on if you have the Damocles sword like future contracts. Future contracts, nothing else but a bet on something. And this is a price this is a price dictation, okay? So people sitting around and says, let's buy 1 million Bitcoins, and then we push it into the market again to drop the price and buy more Bitcoins back. And that's exactly what people know. They know exactly after the halving in May, the Bitcoin price is maybe doubling. So everyone wants now, with the dumping game, make so much Bitcoins as he can hold to have a real high value. And this is not a secret or something like that. Everyone knows that. And so they want you to go that whole way, okay? To do this whole story, they want to dump the market. So anyone is asking, yeah, but now we have another topic, which is very strong, a slap into the face of crypto enthusiasts at all, okay? These are the regulations. The G20 summit and the G20 states, they said again, they will do everything to prevent that cryptocurrencies become the next Swiss number account. Okay? So they just realized their plans and said, we are unique in our understanding that we have to stop blind coins from taken by the customers. So what does it mean? We have, for example, Bitcoin Private, we have Monero, we have Zcash, Ycash, we have different coins which are having a high anonymous factor in that, okay? So they will wipe out that coins in the first step from the exchanges. And exactly that's what they do, and that's what they do in the next time. What they also will do is they will tax all cryptocurrencies except Bitcoin. So what happens is we have 6,500 coins out there now, maybe more. So if you have a small user group and they have to pay taxes every time they make a transaction on top of the transaction fees, you will lose your coins. I was saying 4 years ago, or maybe 5 years ago, that we are in an end war. That the end war is coming between the old world and the new world, and it is depending on how the people react to the new world and how they understand the new world. So we created our school system and everywhere to teach people. These people from our school understand what the real value of Bitcoin is, but we didn't reach everyone, okay, until now. So it is not too late to change your mindset, because this is exactly, as long as you compare Bitcoin to the fiat world, the fiat world will control your decisions. That's the way. But if you understand that we are in a crisis now and they hide it behind all this bad news, and you now invest into Bitcoin, and it comes to the point maybe where Bitcoins is traded against Bitcoins, against value, against goods, without exchanging, you will have a much higher value than you can expect. And this is the magic and the weapon of Bitcoin. But at the moment, everyone wants to prevent you from buying Bitcoins, the up and down, and makes fear, and people call it bear market and everything, because no one understands really what the news are about. And this is exactly what we have to understand. The market is driven by psychology. Then they go for shorting their contracts in the futures to dump the price, because they want to get most of the money out of that they can make. And this is not the world Bitcoin was created for. And that's the thing, why sooner or later you have to leave the fiat world, because they can't support you, because a $260 trillion bubble in debts will explode. And I was saying that it's coming 2020-21. So this is what we see now. It is going onwards, and it is going in the right direction, that the bubble will burst. And this is, people can't imagine what that is, what it means if an inflation comes in and you can't pay anything because it's too expensive for you to do. Ask some Spanish people when they have, for example, in the region of Pamplona, for example, there are a lot of new parts of a village have been built, and the flats have never been sold, because when the house market was crashing, when the real estate market was crashing, they can't afford to buy a flat. And this is only the real estate. Think about that your money, if you go for a supermarket buying your daily necessaries, if you can't afford that anymore. Look at Japan at the moment. They have bitcoins, and the people use the bitcoins to buy their things in the internet, and let's go there. They do not use their own money on the markets and support the stores and everything in there, because they stopped it, because they make higher taxes. And that's exactly what happens. Think about France, Macron, the people on the street. It started all over when he was saying we have to raise the taxes. And that's always, the people would not be living in a world where their money is in taxes and they haven't got any control about it. So they will leave sooner or later into bitcoins, because it will stay. It's the only coin which you can't crack down in a way. 6,000 coins from different providers you can stop, because you know who's the issuer and who has invented the system. And then you can say, okay, stop your activities, stop the support for that, yeah, stop mining or whatever, because every coin after Bitcoin is centralized in a way. And this is another news next to the regulations, which is very hard for investors to understand. And it's very hard because this is the, I would say, the backbone of investing. Ethereum. Ethereum is coming in trouble, and the people start to deny that Ethereum is in trouble. And that's more of all what you can imagine, okay? Of all transactions executed on the Ethereum blockchain during the analyzed period, addresses with the incoming amounts of 500,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 and 10,000 ETH constitute 68.5% in money terms and 10.7% in terms of number. The further analysis shows that these addresses are linked with each other and might be controlled by a single entity. So you see, the addresses are linked and controlled from only one point. What leads into a discussion that someone was saying, the great Vitalik has mentioned a couple of times that he is in control, which is not the idea behind decentralization. So who knows? The more I look into Ethereum, the less I like it. And this is exactly what it is. I was telling in the past that Ethereum is controlled by somebody. Not in the technology, because it's based on Bitcoin and yeah, you can say it's satellites, but the heart of Ethereum is Bitcoin-like, okay? So, but what is, it is controlled in the amount of circulation of Ethereums. And there's another danger, because now they have $1 million in the DeFi system, bind in Ethereum, and on top, all the tokens we have seen on ERC20 protocol are exchangeable into Ethereums, are the next Damocles sword for Ethereum, because these systems will also die. And then the people will crash their Ethereums into the market. And that's exactly the problem what Ethereum has. Ethereum has a promise which it can't fulfill, because the people also didn't understand Ethereum. Ethereum is a collateral for enterprise systems and supporting the enterprise world and blockchain technology and usage of blockchain technology with a Bitcoin-like system. Okay, so what they have done is they took the token from Ethereum, which is the collateral for making exchanges on on an enterprise blockchain. For example, you want to exchange real estate or something like that, you need a token in Ethereum, for example. That was the way in the first beginning. These tokens are exchanges for collaterals in real estate or whatever, in assets, not in fiat or something like that. And here you see the mistakes. So you see a big mixer. You see 2.5 billion Ethereum rotated 80 times to top output addresses and top input addresses with a shell layer. And this is exactly what happens. They control by one address. And you see, centralization could be a very hard thing, because everyone is talking about decentralization in the system, especially of Ethereum. And you've seen what happens to Ethereum Classic. And this is a slap into the investment point, because this changed a lot of trust. Okay, this is something. That's why this article is not so widespread and around. And they have a lot of problems with this article, because the Ethereum fan base is like the Ripple fan base. They deny it and they want to find clues and argue against you. But the fact and the tracking of the accounts is a speech you can't deny. And that's exactly these all together, with the futures, with the longings and shortings and everything in there, and with the regulation hammer, this leads into this crash. And that's what I call an oversold market. If value has been burned because the belief in an asset is not there, because it's built on news, on psychology, which is not the truth, then we are in an oversold market, and a rebound is coming, because you can't deny that Bitcoin is limited, and the limitation you can expand like an expander, but there, an expander, there is an and it snaps back. Okay, so this is happening here. And I will say, and I will likely explain to you, that in 2 weeks the price is recovering from all the bad news and from the future market, because you will see that. And I was saying, many people will invest and dump before the halving is coming, because this is really rocking the sky from 15 to 20,000. Believe it or not, you will see. And this is exactly why the price is there and why we have this news to discuss today. Okay, so this is what I want to make you understand, because it's necessary to understand how the world is out there, how influencers going in like Warren Buffett, and how the regulations and everything in there, I would say, have an impact on the price. I hope you understand it likely now and more, and you do not talk anymore about that the coronavirus is responsible for the market crash. Okay? Have a nice evening wherever you are, or a nice morning, I don't know. So, see you next time here.